Andy, it's fantastic to see you here. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for inviting me, Alex. I really appreciate it.
My great pleasure. Correct me if I'm wrong. Mm-hmm. We've been together now 3-4 years, probably
4 or 5.
4 or 5.
Yeah.
My God, time
flies. You walked me through COVID.
Time flies like there's no tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. Really, I'm excited about chatting with you. I told you this on the phone yesterday. You, in my opinion, are like my ideal client avatar. You are like the perfect guy. I love working with you. We've had a harmonious relationship for a number of years, I believe. And I thought we would chat a little bit about websites, about your position, your thoughts on the matter, and just go from there.
Sounds great.
I've recently been thinking that, people come to me not because things are honky-dory with their current provider, with their current situation, right? They come to me because there is a problem, and that problem has probably lingered for some period of time and hasn't been resolved, and they've had enough. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I've been doing that my whole 25 or 30 years of needing websites. I mean, I was in the industry I'm in now when websites started popping up.
It's incredible. It's incredible. And you likely found yourself with a number of providers over the years. Whatever scenario happened that you got to the point where you said, I need something else, you called me. And you know what? I think I remember one of the first questions you asked me. Tell me if I'm right or wrong. You said, where do you host your websites?
Absolutely.
And I answered you.
Very important.
Yeah. And then you said, Alex, if you were going to say GoDaddy or something similar, I was going to hang up the phone on you. You remember that?
I do.
Love that.
Before I called you, I did the research of the best hosting companies out there.
Yep.
And, everybody talks Amazon down to GoDaddy. GoDaddy's designed for your 14-year-old son to create a website for you. That's it. That's what GoDaddy is for. I'll be honest. I use GoDaddy, but I purchase my domains through them. That's it.
As you should.
I don't do anything else through them. Yeah. And I'm not going to pay the bill Amazon needs. So I'm going to find a happy medium. And you actually told me the name of your company, and they were in the top 90%.
I think of myself as a mix of a couple of things. I think that the technical term is managed WordPress host. I think that's the best that I could pinpoint who I am. But really, we're exceptionally good from a resource perspective on our actual machines, our actual systems. But it's the human touch that matters, right? That's the value. I always say to people, yes, my resources are better than wherever you currently are. It's a 99% chance that that's the case, but that doesn't really matter, right? What matters is that you have a real individual that cares about your outcome, that isn't going to go to sleep at night if there is a crisis, that answers the phone, that makes you feel as if he's your partner and gives a damn about the outcome, right? Like that in my opinion is like a big one.
Absolutely, but let's go back a minute. We have had a harmonious relationship because we get along as people.
Yeah.
But I hate this.
Okay.
Web design, all of it is an unregulated field.
Totally.
It's all smoke and mirrors to me.
Why do you say that?
Well, because I can talk, and I've done it. I've sent my website to 50 different web designer companies. I get 200 emails a week from companies saying there's a problem with your website. And they all have different solutions.
Yeah.
Because we have a great big corporation out there called Google changing their algorithms or whatever you want to call it on a weekly basis and keeping it a secret, it is forcing us as a business owner or website purchasers, it's forcing us to constantly work on that website. It's constantly forcing me to double check you, which I hate having to do. I mean, I was here in the 80s, okay?
Yeah.
When phone books, I'd buy a phone ad, it went in, I'd buy radio spots.
Yeah, it works,
I'd buy a couple billboards. Yeah. It was perfect. No one's sitting there judging it every 30 seconds like Google does. And they're not saying, hey, Joe's billboard's better than yours, so let's take yours and drop it to the bottom. Or your ad is bad, so we're just going to rip them out.
Yeah.
That didn't happen back then.
Yeah, you're right.
Now, and honestly, I've been through 20 web designer / hosting companies in the last 35 years.
You're not the first person to make that statement to me. I'll tell you my gut reaction. First of all, I love the statements you made. We are in a peculiar time. There's no question about it. In fact, recently there was a big news break that some stuff from Google was leaked, and a bunch of stuff around what they once said is now not. But anyway, not to get off topic. I believe that there's a couple of remedies to solve the issues that you just stated. And I'll speak to anyone that sells the services that I do, or even a potential client that's looking for those services. It's make sure you're super clear on what your offer is, right? Do not say, I'm going to do everything under the sun and there's no limit and I have all this knowledge and I myself am going to take it. Myself and my team are the doers of absolutely all things, right? I think that that's a mistake.
And that's what I love about you. Andy, we don't have experience with that.
Yep.
But Joe does.
Yep.
Here's his number.
Yep.
Not Joe does, I'm going to charge you $20,000 when Joe's only going to cost me $500.
Correct.
You don't do that.
No, don't want to do it.
You are very open. You're very honest. You don't want to look over your shoulder forever.
No.
And, you know, you've helped me with a lot of different things that were outside of your realm. What I love is when I call you and I say something like, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'll say, hey, I need this. And you're like, oh, well, I don't know what to tell you. A day later, you would have researched that for 4 hours, figured it all out, called me with the guy's name and number, and hooked me up with somebody that's amazing.
I appreciate that. One of my favorite things to do is connect people together, irrespective of benefit or not benefit. That's not what I do it for. I do it because I really, really feel good about those things. Mm-hmm. So I think that, again, a clear focus of here's the things of which I'm an expert in, here's the things that I can speak highly on. If it's outside of that, just say it, right? Like, Andy, what do you prefer? Me to be the yes man that says yes on absolutely everything you say, and then I worry about where to go and fulfill it? Or, Andy, I'm not sure, but I'm going to find some rock star that's going to fulfill that for you, and we're going to see how it works.
I love that. That's the greatest. You know, I think I told you something when I first met you. I said, I want to deal with someone local. Mm-hmm. And for one reason. I can either praise you and pat your back or kick your ass.
I remember that. Okay? I love that line.
That's it. I want one of those two things.
I love that.
And there's a lot of people's asses I've wanted to kick
I get it.
in this industry, but you're not one of them.
Thank you. Good. Let it stay that way.
We'll see.
Yeah. Time will tell.
Google will change something and we'll be at the bottom again. I mean, you know, as you know, I'm in multiple industries and you're really good at whenever you bring on a new client, when I told you I wanted you to start creating our PI website, you did enough research about my industry so you understood the keywords and the hot buttons. No one's ever done that, but you do. And that means just so much to my emotion, my well-being, my thought process. I mean, I don't want to go this far, but you almost take a spiritual approach at all of this. In a way to where you try to gather all the information and make a very educated decision, or say, you know what, let me get so-and-so involved because I think he can help more.
I appreciate you saying that.
No one does that.
Look, I've said this before. I care about the outcome. I can't help myself. I can't take credit for that. It's just who I am. I just want things to go well, and I want my clients to be happy. The money will come from doing good work.
And that's why sometimes I think you're in the people business instead of the website business.
I 100%. I've said before, I said, if you lose faith in me, it doesn't matter how good I am or aren't, you'll leave. And that's a very good point. Now, and by the way.
Now, just to tell everybody, I hate writing checks to you. But I'd rather write them to you than anyone else.
I appreciate that. Look, you mentioned, you know, for example, Scott is someone that's involved with us significantly.
Absolutely.
Like, having a team member like him is so important. Again, like me, we share in that same ability, care about the outcome, know what we're doing, give a damn about what we're doing for the customer. That's what it is. That is so important. I'll tell you, I've been making statements such as the web design space is an unlicensed, unregulated Wild West. I've been saying that for literally a decade. Yeah. Okay. But let me tell you something. Doing this podcast now, having conversations, I'm finding myself on channels like YouTube more frequently for my own stuff, right? And let me tell you, Andy, the situation is far worse than I ever imagined, okay? Now that I'm in it more, in the sense of, I'll give you an example. I saw a video, nice young guy, younger than me, I'd say late 20s, early 30s, This video had, I think, 65,000 views. Okay. And he had many videos. And this particular one was, it's easy to be a web designer and website host with zero experience. Watch this video. Okay. Wow. I said, what the hell is this? I watch. Nice guy. Again, I want to talk badly about the individual, but the message is completely, you know what?
Oh yeah. I mean, there are companies out there that design programs to search your website and tell you what's wrong with it.
Yes.
I have never found one program that searched the same things. Okay. And let's go back to your staff for a minute.
Sure.
Okay. Talking about Scott. And this is just one example of how wonderful all your staff is. Scott called me on Thursday afternoon. I told him I'd call him back. I got into something, totally spaced it. Saturday around noon, I text him and say, hey, I apologize. I'm sorry. Call me anytime you want. On a Saturday, 2:00 in the afternoon, calls me. Andy, how you doing? And our first part of our conversation was about what he wanted, but the second part was, I'm frustrated about one of my sites. And I really don't know what to do. And being who I am, I don't want to tell I'm not going to tell my doctor how to do a bypass surgery on me, and I really don't want to tell someone else how to do their business, okay? Because I'd rather just not deal with them if I got to tell them how to do it. But Scott took 10 minutes and said, Andy, you know, I validate your concern. I hear you. Have a small talk with Alex about that. And you and I are working on a new website now.
Yeah.
The honesty is what it's about.
I agree.
Most people, I got to be careful. I don't say most men, but most people would get angry instead of being open and honest. Say, hey, I'm a little frustrated about this because it's not working the way I want it to work. And you've always taken that point of, Andy, technology won't allow it to work the way you want it to work, but this is how close I can get to it, or no problem, let me fix it. Mm-hmm. Absolutely wonderful.
Good.
I mean,
it makes me very happy to hear. Again, we need to, I'll obviously, look, I'm not a yes guy in the sense of if I have an opinion, I'm going to say it, right? I'm just going to tell you.
Right.
But look, at the end of the day, we're working towards the benefit of your organization and your several sites. Mm-hmm. That's the point of all of this, right? Like, we can be buddies, we can do all this stuff, but at the end of the day, it's got to function, it's got to work.
Right.
So on the point, by the way, just to finish my point from before, this guy with the 65,000 views of the one video, I just have to tell you more about this, okay? He says to the viewers, it's the easiest thing in the world. No effort, right? You can just put together a site in WordPress.
That's what Skynet said.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So it's the easiest thing in the world. We'll put together a website for your client. No big deal, right? Whatever. He goes, I rent one server. It's a pretty big one. It cost me $30 a month. And I have amassed 80 websites on that one server of $30 per month. Doesn't require any maintenance or management whatsoever. I'm literally sitting there horrified. I said,
I'm a layman and I'm horrified.
No, this is such bad advice. And this is the absolute point of why this industry is a ridiculous nonsense industry at times. How can there not be any standards? How can the guy with zero experience compete against me and my collective team of, 100 years of experience? How can that be equal? It isn't. It's nonsense.
It's nonsense, but it also comes down to foolish customers.
I agree with that.
If I saw that, I would stay as far away from that man as possible, because I have enough knowledge to know if you're putting 60, 80 websites on one server, the server's going to run slow. It's going to become corrupt. I mean, that's like putting a 10-barrel carburetor on a 4-cylinder.
That I have no idea what that means.
It won't
but
work. It won't work. It won't work.
Let's just say it was a massive machine and had unlimited resources. Let's just say.
No, it's like trying to put 10,000 pounds on a scale that goes up to 300.
Yeah. It
ain't going to work.
It's more than that too. It's what about the backups? What about the updates? What about when an issue arises? Right. Who are you going to call?
Right. But back to where I'm coming from. Somebody's going to hire that guy.
80 people have.
And somebody is going to pay him $424 for a website that's a piece of crap.
Yes, they are.
And what that does is when they have a bad experience with him, okay, and I hate to say this because this is where our society is starting to go. If I have a bad experience with one person
Yeah. It's now
I hate
I'm lumped
all
in.
of the people like them.
Yeah.
And it's like that because that customer is going to hate all web designers and not trust them. And I went through that. I went through that. I think in about 2005, I had a customer. I decided to move my business from one web company to another, and it was horrible. So I started to have doubt of all web people. And I didn't really find a good one in 2018 when I met you.
Yeah. I can't believe it's been that long.
Yeah. I mean, I will get, these companies will give me calls.
Of course.
They'll send me emails.
Of course.
They'll give me lip service.
Yeah.
But no action.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You give action.
Thank you. It concerns me, but what now? Right? What now? I see things like this. As I said, the situation far worse than I ever imagined, right? 65,000 views of a video espousing complete and utter garbage nonsense.
Well,
what's the answer to that, right? Maybe what we're doing right now.
I'm really hoping. Okay, so the I can't remember the chief doctor of our country.
Okay.
I can't remember what the name is.
Okay.
He has asked Congress to pass a law to put warning labels on social media.
Okay, interesting.
Maybe that's a start. Maybe our government getting involved with how hazardous this stuff is a little start. Or Surgeon General, sorry.
Okay.
It finally popped up. The United States Surgeon General came out yesterday saying we need warning labels on social media. Parents have no clue how dangerous social media is.
Yeah.
I think it should be across the board. Maybe that's that little link we need to get a congressman more involved. Or maybe we need people who have been abused by other web designers to step up and say, we need laws.
We need laws. We need standards. We need standards. Certification.
I'm in.
Anything.
I'll take the petition, start getting it signed.
Yeah. Yeah. It strikes me as something that would be very, very, very healthy for the industry.
But it's going to, I believe it's got to be done the way some of my other industries are, and it needs to be it needs to be some key players in the industry that approach the government, senators, congressmen, and all that. I mean, I think 4 or 5 web designers from Vegas should go talk to Jackie Rosen.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it's a good idea.
Because you're the expert. And then we need to find thousands of people that have been abused and taken advantage so that they can back it up even more.
It's a very good point. Yeah, and maybe some kind of accreditation, something like that. It would be a very good start.
Absolutely.
And by the way, when you mentioned social, I was thinking about, what was it called? A Netflix thing was amazing. It was probably 3-4 years ago. Social Dilemma. You ever saw it?
Absolutely.
Scared the hell out of me.
Again, Skynet.
Scared.
One of my biggest fears in the world with AI, way it's going and all this stuff. Yeah. And we've got the geniuses thinking it'll never happen. What are we, crazy?
Yeah, it scares the hell out of me. It scares the hell out of me.
Me too.
It forced me to stop my own personal social that many years ago. Don't go on, don't scroll, don't care, don't do nothing. Zero interest.
What's funny about that, to go any farther, is I have a social media presence, but I don't do anything on there except congratulate people on their birthdays. Mm-hmm. But I have to, with Facebook, if I don't have a personal site, I can't have a business site.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Which I hate.
It's the same for me. Yeah, it's the same for me. As I publish out, business-related content, okay, great, that's who I am professionally, but I have very little interest in participating in this whole thing.
Okay, so let me go a little farther with my paranoia of our society.
Please.
Google, they do what they do with their algorithms, and Google is the one that says you have to have a social media presence. The 2 largest companies in the world, Facebook and Google, are working together to self-promote. That's scary.
It is scary.
It really is. If Apple jumps on board, we're screwed.
Well, we shall see how everything unfolds.
I hope it doesn't happen in my lifetime, but yeah.
I've heard people say, I don't know where web design will be. And there's lots of companies that, it's so easy. AI, do this, do that, publish without code. I can tell you right now, from my personal opinion, I don't see guys like me or people like me going away anytime soon.
I don't see it either. I mean, just to relate back to uneducated people in there, me, when I was growing up at 22 years old, and I got my CD player, VCR. I hired my 12-year-old nephew to program it.
Yeah.
And that's what's happened to our industry now, is we've got people out there that are having their 14, 15, 16-year-old nephew program it.
Yeah.
And they're creating these websites that are just filling the market with nothing.
Let's just call it unsustainable and probably not the best solution.
Absolutely.
And I've said this before, there are free or near free solutions out there for the right person. You know, no budget, low budget, startup, et cetera. Those things exist, and I think they're good for what they're
Absolutely.
good for. But a guy like you, multiple businesses, I don't know, I have 10, 12 websites of yours minimum. You going to mess around with that? No.
No. And that's the thing. I'm not going to mess with it. And it puts as much effort into me to finding a good hosting company than it does for me to promote my business.
Yes. And your business relies on your website for daily operation. This isn't something where it's just a little pretty business card and, you know, if it goes down, it goes down. Your site has, let's just say, moderately complex function that has a business need that is required in order for you to operate and have efficiency.
And just to throw this out there, I'm learning from talking to the general public. They don't understand the complexity of websites. We've got a basic business card website, 5 pages, just as there, no interaction. You've got an e-commerce website. You've got a full interaction website. And then you've got the websites where you're not only looking at pictures and photos, you're making payments, you're communicating with someone, you're buying parts, you're doing all these things. There's a lot to it.
Yes, there is.
And if you don't have all the parts together perfectly, I'll be calling you at 3 o'clock in the morning wondering why it's not working.
Correct.
Honestly, thank God you answer.
On that point,
Thank God.
on that point, if you'll recall, you had far more headaches at the beginning of our relationship from the website than you do now. It's just a fact.
Absolutely.
We had many times issues that were unresolved, which is probably fundamentally why you got in touch with me in the first place. And we chipped away at it and chipped away. Did I solve it immediately? Something? No. But we chipped away and chipped away and chipped away until finally we're in peace and quiet, right?
We tweaked it, tweaked it, and you got it running. I mean, you know, the problem with having websites that size, having multiple employees is they don't care like I do. The passion of the business owner is to keep everything going, everything running. So I don't hear all the issues until it explodes.
Yeah.
And you were available, if I remember, on a Saturday afternoon to go back, get an old copy, put it back up, and then you started working on the newest copy and redoing it.
I'm available to you anytime, period, end of story.
I love it.
Thank you. I think we're out of time. Are we? It's been fantastic. I hope you'll do it with me again in the not too distant future.
I'm not busy on Thursday.
Good.
Anytime.
Excellent. All right, good. I had a great time.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.